Zeus, son of Cronus and Rhea, rose to become king of the gods and ruler of Mount Olympus after leading his siblings in a revolt against their father, a conflict that raged for 10 years and became known as the Titanomachy. Victorious, he claimed dominion over the skies, storms, and the will of the divine. In his hand, he bore the thunderbolt, a weapon forged by the Cyclopes, the ultimate symbol of his authority. To mortals, Zeus could be either a benevolent protector or a relentless punisher, granting favor to the faithful and striking down the arrogant. He served as the arbiter of oaths and the guardian of divine law, yet his own life was marked by cunning, desire, and moral contradiction. Through Metis, Titaness of wisdom, Zeus fathered Athena, who sprang from his head fully grown and clad in armor. With Themis, he fathered the Horae, Irene, Eunomia, and Dike, and the Moirai, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, who spun, measured, and cut the thread of life. With Eurynomy, he fathered the three Graces, Aglaia, Euphrosyne, and Thalia. Zeus's union with his sister Demeter, goddess of the harvest, brought forth Persephone. When Hades abducted her, Demeter's grief caused famine throughout the land. Only when Zeus intervened did Hades agree to a compromise. Seeking something eternal, Zeus spent 9 nights with Mnemosyne, Titaness of memory, and from their union came the 9 muses, who would inspire human creativity for all time. When the time came, Zeus married Hera, his sister and divine equal, queen of the gods. Their marriage served as a symbol of cosmic order, yet it was plagued by Zeus's infidelities. She bore Ares, Hebe, Eileithyia, and Hephaestus. Hera's jealousy often targeted Zeus's lovers and children, becoming one of the most enduring tensions of Olympus. Zeus also loved Leto, a gentle titaness. Hera cursed her so that no land would shelter her during childbirth. Leto found refuge on the floating island of Delos, where she gave birth to Artemis and Apollo. Zeus fathered more children still. From Maia, one of the 7 daughters of Atlas, came Hermes, the messenger of the gods. From Semele, a mortal princess of Thebes, came Dionysus. Hera tricked Semele into asking to see Zeus's true form, and the sight of his divine glory consumed her in fire. Alcmene, a mortal queen, bore Heracles after Zeus deceived her by disguising himself as her husband. Danae, daughter of King Acrisius, bore Perseus while imprisoned in a bronze chamber. Zeus visited her as a shower of golden light through the cracks. Io, a priestess of Hera, could not escape Zeus's attention. He transformed her into a cow to hide her from the queen's wrath, but she was pursued across the world until she reached Egypt, where she bore Epaphus, ancestor to kings and heroes. Lastly, Zeus, in the form of a white bull, abducted Europa, a Phoenician princess, and carried her across the sea to Crete. There she became the mother of Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Sarpedon. Through these unions, Zeus fathered gods, heroes, and personifications of the forces that shape the world. Poseidon, brother of Zeus and Hades, was one of the 3 great rulers after the fall of the Titans. While Zeus claimed the sky and Hades the underworld, Poseidon drew the sea as his domain. But his power didn't end with water. He was also the god of earthquakes and horses. Poseidon's weapon, the trident, symbolized his dominion. With a single strike, he could shatter rock, summon tidal waves, or split the earth. Sailors prayed to him for safe passage, knowing that his moods could mean the difference between survival and destruction. He fathered countless children, both mortal and divine, from heroes like Theseus to monstrous beings like the Cyclops Polyphemus. His wrath was legendary. Odysseus spent 10 long years wandering because he blinded Poseidon's son. Myths credit him with raising islands from the sea and taming horses, teaching humankind the art of chariot driving. Temples dedicated to him, like the one at Cape Sunion, were built on cliffs overlooking the waves, a reminder of his ever-watchful presence. Hades, brother of Zeus and Poseidon, ruled the unseen realm beneath the earth. Hades was not the god of death itself. That role belonged to Thanatos. Instead, he presided over the underworld as its ruler, ensuring order among the dead. His realm was guarded by Cerberus, the 3-headed hound, and divided into regions: the Asphodel meadows for ordinary souls, the Elysian fields for heroes, and Tartarus, a pit of torment for the wicked and the defeated Titans. Hades rarely left his domain, but when he did, it changed myths forever. The most famous tale is his abduction of Persephone, daughter of Demeter. Her yearly return to the underworld explained the cycle of the seasons: life, death, and rebirth. Hades was also called Pluton, the giver of wealth, because all precious metals and fertile soil came from beneath the earth. Hades reminded mortals of life's ultimate truth, that all roads lead to the underworld. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy, and crafts, was no ordinary child of Zeus. She was born fully grown and armored from her father's head, a divine embodiment of intellect and strength combined. Athena represented a balance between thought and action. Unlike Ares, who reveled in chaos and bloodshed, Athena's approach to war was precise and calculated. She was the calm strategist before the storm, the mind that guided the blade. Her symbols told her story: the owl for wisdom, the spear for strategy, and the olive tree for peace. When she competed with Poseidon for the city that would become Athens, Poseidon struck the ground to create a saltwater spring. Athena, instead, offered the olive tree, a gift of food, oil, and prosperity. The people chose her gift, and the city took her name. Athena guided heroes through some of Greek mythology's greatest trials. She stood beside Odysseus with her counsel, armed Perseus with tools to slay Medusa, and gave Heracles the guidance to endure his labors. Though powerful, Athena remained a virgin goddess, devoted entirely to intellect, justice, and purpose. Ares, son of Zeus and Hera, was the embodiment of battle in its purest, most violent form. He wasn't a strategist or a protector. He was the raw fury of combat, the clash of swords, the sound of men screaming on the battlefield. To the Greeks, Ares represented the dark side of war, unpredictable, destructive, and merciless. Where Athena fought with strategy and intelligence, Ares charged in blind with rage and passion. He was often seen accompanied by his sons, Phobos, fear, and Deimos, dread, and the goddess Enyo, the spirit of bloodshed. Together they rode into war on a chariot, spreading terror wherever they went. Yet despite his power, Ares wasn't loved, not by the gods nor by mortals. Even Zeus once called him the most hateful of the gods who live on Olympus. He was wounded in the Trojan War by Athena, and even humiliated when caught in an affair with Aphrodite, trapped in a net by her husband, Hephaestus. Still, the Romans saw him differently. They called him Mars, and instead of chaos, they saw courage, duty, and the glory of defending one's people. To them, Mars wasn't just a destroyer, he was a protector and a father of Rome itself. Hephaestus, the god of fire and craftsmanship, was the divine blacksmith of Olympus. Unlike the other radiant gods, he was born deformed and cast out of heaven by his mother, Hera. Years later, Hephaestus crafted a magnificent golden throne and sent it to Hera as a gift. The moment she sat down, invisible chains bound her to it. The gods pleaded with Hephaestus to release her, but only Dionysus, the god of wine, was the one to change his mind. Hephaestus was the master of the forge. In his blazing workshop beneath volcanoes, he created armor, weapons, and divine machines. The thunderbolts of Zeus, the trident of Poseidon, and the shield of Achilles, all were forged by his hand. Though crippled, Hephaestus possessed unmatched precision. His hammer struck with purpose, his anvil sang with the rhythm of creation. He even crafted golden automatons, living statues that served the gods, and built palaces of gleaming bronze beneath Olympus. While other gods ruled through beauty or war, he ruled through craft. Fire, in his hands, became not destruction, but transformation. Artemis, daughter of Zeus and Leto and twin sister of Apollo, was one of the most powerful Olympians. While Apollo embodied the sun and civilization, Artemis ruled the wilderness, goddess of the hunt, protector of animals, and later, the moon. From childhood, she chose independence. She asked Zeus for eternal virginity, setting herself apart from the bonds of marriage, and roamed forests and mountains with her bow, free and untamed. When the hunter Actaeon saw her bathing, she transformed him into a stag, and his own hounds tore him apart. In time, she became tied to the moon, balancing Apollo's dominion over the sun. Together, the twins embodied eternal opposites, light and darkness, civilization and wilderness. Apollo was one of the most celebrated Olympians, son of Zeus and the Titaness Leto, and twin brother of Artemis. Unlike most gods who ruled a single domain, Apollo embodied many: music, prophecy, healing, poetry, and eventually, the very light of the sun. To the Greeks, Apollo represented brilliance and harmony. With his lyre, he inspired music and poetry, becoming the divine patron of the arts. But perhaps his most famous role was prophecy. At Delphi, his oracle became the spiritual heart of Greece. Rulers and generals sought his guidance before war, while ordinary people came with personal questions. Yet Apollo could be harsh as well as kind. With his arrows, he could send plagues, striking down armies in punishment. Just as easily, he could heal, restore, and protect. Over time, he became closely linked with the sun, a god of light whose gaze fell everywhere, inescapable and powerful. This duality made Apollo unique. He was the artist and the archer, the healer and the bringer of disease, the symbol of both beauty and danger. Hermes, son of Zeus and the nymph Maia, revealed his cunning from the very moment of his birth. Only hours old, he crept from his cradle, stole Apollo's sacred cattle, and disguised their tracks by making them walk backward. To make peace, Hermes offered Apollo the lyre, an instrument he had crafted from a tortoise shell. He became the herald of the gods, marked by his winged sandals, traveler's hat, and staff, the caduceus. Hermes could move where few others could, between Olympus, the mortal world, and even the underworld. To mortals, he was both patron and trickster, credited with inventions like writing, weights and measures, and even the dice used in gambling. Merchants, travelers, and thieves alike saw him as their god. But Hermes held a deeper, more solemn role as well, psychopomp, the guide of souls. When mortals died, it was Hermes who came for them, leading them safely down into Hades' realm. Dionysus was the god of wine, ecstasy, and transformation, but his story began in tragedy. Born to Zeus and the mortal princess Semele, he was nearly destroyed before birth. Hera tricked Semele into demanding that Zeus reveal his true form, and the sight consumed her in lightning. The unborn child survived, and Zeus carried him sewn into his thigh. From this miraculous birth, Dionysus was twice born, a symbol of renewal. Exiled for his safety, he wandered far and wide, teaching mortals the craft of winemaking. But wine was never just drink. It was freedom. It dissolved boundaries, released ecstasy, and opened the door to madness. His followers, the Maenads, danced in wild frenzy, celebrating the collapse of order. His festivals in Athens gave rise to theater itself. Comedy and tragedy both began as rituals in his honor.